Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're looking at a children's book that, honestly, seems super simple at first. But trust me, it holds a whole universe of meaning. We're talking about a story of love, discovery, and a connection that literally goes beyond life itself.
Okay, so let's just get this out of the way. When you first read this book, it's kind of hard not to laugh and think, wow, is this fish a player? I mean, seriously, a brand new love every single night? You can totally see why people might think that.
So one night, the fish is all, I'm in love with the moon. Okay, cute. But then, the very next night, its heart has moved on. Now it's all about the sun. And it doesn't stop there. The list just keeps getting longer. A few nights later, it's fallen for the wind, the waves, and yeah, even a little boat. And then, get this, a princess. So it really does look like a classic case of a fickle heart, right? But here's where we need to pause. What if we're asking the wrong question? What if this whole player-fish idea is completely missing the point?
Because this isn't a story about a fickle heart at all. If you look at it from a developmental psychology standpoint, it becomes this absolutely perfect map of a child's journey of discovery. The fish isn't a player. It's basically a toddler, seeing everything for the very first time. And the way this unfolds is just so smart. The fish's so-called loves are really just its world expanding, step by step. First, it's the immediate things in nature, the sun, the waves. Then it's the man-made world, like boats. And then it's understanding it's bigger, and it starts loving abstract things, like a princess from a fairy tale. And only then, at the very end, does it find a connection with another fish. It's just a perfect metaphor for how a kid learns about the world, one amazing thing at a time. And all through this, who's watching? The moon. It's this constant, totally supportive presence in the background. It never judges, never gets jealous or possessive. Every single night, it says the same thing. That's good. I hope it loves you too. I mean, isn't that the kind of parent we all want to be? Someone who just celebrates their kids' curiosity and gives them the freedom to go explore?
So let's be clear. This isn't about cheating. This is about a child learning how to love the entire world, piece by piece. The book is really reframing love itself, not as something you own, but as this huge, boundless sense of appreciation. And to really get where an idea this deep comes from, well, you have to meet the author.
Yeah. To really understand the moon's unconditional love, we have to talk about the author, a truly remarkable woman named Yi Ran. Her life, it's the key that unlocks everything in this story. She once said, I have the greatest freedom in the world, the freedom to dream. Now, just let that sink in for a second, because those words came from a woman who couldn't physically move. For her, that wasn't just some pretty poetic line. It was her reality. It was a lifeline. Here's what happened. When she was only 3 years old, a teacher punished her by locking her in a dark room. When she was finally let out, she fell and she never stood up again. She was left paralyzed from the chest down, completely confined to her home. But, and this is incredible, from that room, she taught herself multiple languages. She built these huge free worlds inside her head and through her writing, and she even started one of the first websites for children's literature in her country.
So when you think about it, the moon, watching over the little fish, encouraging it to explore, but never ever getting in the way, that is Yi Ran. Because she was physically trapped, she understood the true value of freedom better than almost anyone. The moon's love, that's the kind of love she wished for. And it's the love she gave back to the world through her stories. A love that gives freedom instead of trying to own you. And this just perfectly illustrates the difference between two kinds of love, doesn't it? There's the possessive love that says, you belong to me. And then there's this empowering love, the moon's love, that says, go, be yourself. It's an idea that the famous philosopher Erich Fromm talked all about in his book, The Art of Loving. He said that real love isn't just a feeling you have, it's an action, an act of giving that actually takes a lot of courage. But Yi Ran's story didn't end when she passed away in 2015. No way. It found a new life and a new partner in creation, with an artist an entire country away who was, believe it or not, trapped in her own kind of prison. This is the Korean illustrator Hong Soon-mi, and after she published her first book, something happened.
She developed this deep, paralyzing fear of drawing. It was so bad that every time she even tried to hold a pencil, she would just start crying. For a long, long time, she was completely blocked. She couldn't create anything. So you can imagine when a publisher asked her to illustrate this very book, she was really hesitant. But then the editor told her Yeran's story, told her about this woman who was physically confined but found total freedom in her mind. And hearing about someone who found freedom despite being trapped, it just clicked. It resonated so powerfully with her own creative confinement that it gave her the strength to try again. Now, it wasn't like a magic switch was flipped. It took a full year. A whole year of her just living with Yeran's words, letting the story and its meanings sink in, before she could even start drawing. Just think about that. It's this amazing collaboration after death between two women who never met, separated by countries and by life itself, but completely connected by this shared experience of confinement and the dream of freedom. So, what's the big takeaway here? What is this story, born from such tragedy and brought to life through this incredible connection, really teach us about love? Well, let's start with the number 14. One critic, A. Jaya, called this book a 14-night education in love. Because that's what it is, a 14-night journey showing us that there isn't just one way to love. There are many. It's like a masterclass in all the different flavors of love. You have the moon's steady parental love. You have the fish's curious love for nature and for people. And yeah, at the end you have romantic love for another fish. The point is, all of these loves are valid, and they can all exist together. And the artistry is just, it's in the tiny details. For example, did you notice? At the start of the book, the moon is described as round, but by the end, it's a crescent. It's the subtle, beautiful symbol of a parent getting older as their child grows up. And get this, for 13 nights, it's the moon who always says goodnight first. But on the very last night, the fish says it first. A tiny, perfect sign that it's finally grown up. So when you put all these pieces together, this little book becomes this incredibly powerful guide. It teaches us that what looks like a kid being fickle is really them being brave and exploring. And maybe the most important lesson is that the greatest gift you could give someone you love isn't your attention, but their freedom. The freedom to go explore their world with the trust that you'll be there when they come home. You know, when someone asked Yeran what her life's purpose was, her answer was so simple. To stay in this vast world, searching for a child's smile. That's it. Not to be famous, not to prove a point, just to bring joy. And this book, this quiet little miracle born from her words and an artist who understood her spirit, it's the perfect fulfillment of that beautiful mission. So I'll leave you with this question. How many ways are there to say I love you? This story shows us there are tons. You can love the sun, a boat, a princess, but maybe the most powerful way to say it isn't with words at all. Maybe it's just about being the moon, patiently waiting, no judgment, for someone you love to come home and share their stories with you.